Alrighty guys, so we've got our supply and demand curve once again, but obviously you're looking at microeconomics now because we're not looking at aggregate demand or short run aggregate supply. We don't see a vertical line, long run aggregate supply, just supply and demand. Y-axis price, X-axis is quantity. Okay, the supply line we know is positively sloped, right? So if price goes up, then the quantity supplied goes up. If the price goes down, quantity supplied, we slide down that existing line, so positively sloped. The demand line is inversely related to price. If price goes up, the quantity demanded goes down. If the price goes down, the quantity demanded goes up. So we're going to review now the fundamental law of demand. What is the fundamental law of demand? Quantity demanded is inversely related to the price of that good or service today. Alrighty, so it's inversely related. Why is it inversely related? The substitution effect. Remember that example we went through? Price of Coke goes up. The quantity demanded for Coca-Cola would slide down. The demand for Pepsi, though, would shift right. That's a substitute good. Income, right? If we have more income, we can consume, we can purchase more of all goods. So the income effect means that as prices are lowered with your income remaining constant, your purchasing power goes up. We'll purchase more of all or those lower price goods. Now, when we have a shift in the supply or demand curve, that's due to something other than a change in the price of that good or service today. You guys remember the acronym WRITTEN, W-R-I-T-N? That's what we're going to review first, okay? The WRITTEN acronym. What's going to cause a shift in the demand curve? Well, a change in wealth. Or maybe we have a change in the price of a related good. That's the R in written. It could be a substitute. It could be a complement. Changes in income. If we have an increase in income, that will shift the demand curve to the right. Changes in consumer tastes. Do we prefer this good or service now? Changes in consumer expectations. What do we think about prices in the future? The expectations, that's the E in written. And then the N in written. Change in the number of buyers we have being served in that market. Is that going up or down? Okay, so remember, in macroeconomics, shift in demand, that acronym was twice G, whereas in microeconomics, it's written, W-R-I-T-E-N. And then on the supply side, fundamental law of supply, price and quantity supplied are directly related. Okay, now, what's going to be our acronym for the factors that cause a shift in the supply curve? Well, that's E cost. But like macroeconomics, the rules apply in micro as well. Supply is heavily dependent upon the profit opportunity. The greater the profit opportunity, supply will shift up. The lower the profit opportunity, supply will shift left. Okay, the E cost acronym, changes in the price expectations of the supplying firm, the E in expectations. You think prices are going to be down in the future, sell it now. Changes in the production costs. If costs go down, cost of goods sold goes down, profits go up, supply goes up. Changes in the price or demand for other goods we sell. That's the O. All right, that'll affect the supply of this good. Changes in subsidies or taxes. And then the T and E cost, changes in production, technology. Okay, the T, by the way, could also stand for taxes. All right, so the E cost, the S is subsidies. The T in E cost, I like to use that for both taxes as well as technology. All righty, so now let's take a look. What if they have a reduction in price today, not in the future, but a change in the price today? There's no shifting. We slide along the existing lines, piece of cake. Now we start looking at other factors, a change in income, a change in wealth. We have more money. If we have more money, this is the W in the written, a change in wealth. Well, if we're more wealthy, demand is going to go up. It's going to shift right. Our next one. Now we might have one or two things going on here. You ready? Let's first take a look at all the little stick figures. Changes in the number of buyers served by the market. That's the N in the written acronym for demand. If the number of buyers goes up, demand is going to shift right. If the number of buyers goes down, demand is going to shift left. Now let's look at our cans. Changes in the price of related goods. Related goods, the R in written. That could either be substitutes or complements. If it's a substitute, the Coke and Pepsi, The price of Coca-Cola goes up, the quantity demanded for Coca-Cola would slide down, but then the demand for the substitute, the Pepsi, would shift right. If they're complementary goods, the peanut butter and jelly, alrighty, so let's say we have peanut butter and jelly, and let's say the price of peanut butter goes up, the quantity demanded for peanut butter would slide down, and then the demand for the complement, the jelly, would shift left. Alrighty guys, now we got the guy with the funny tie. What if we have a change in customer tastes or preferences? Alright, that tie goes out of style. Well folks, if that tie goes out of style, then demand for that tie is going to shift to the left. Okay, that down arrow, we think prices are going to be down in the future. That's the E in written. Change in consumer expectations. If you think prices are going to be down in the future, buy it now. Demand would shift to the right. Okay, so we got the T there and the E there in our pretty little picture. Okay guys, on the supply side, the E cost, looking at our next little picture here. On the supply side, same rules apply. What if the supplier thinks prices are going to be down in the future? They think selling prices are going to be down in the future. That's changes in expectations of the supplying firm, the E in E cost. So if the supplier thinks selling prices are going to be down in the future, sell it now before prices go down. Supply would shift to the right. Subsidies or taxes. Okay, if we have a change in subsidies or taxes, let's say subsidies or taxes go down. Okay, anytime we have a reduction in subsidies or taxes, the company believes, hey, you know what? We're going to be able to retain more of our profit because we have this subsidy or because we have a reduction in taxes. Anything that we think would cause our profit to go up today would cause us to do what? Increase our supply. Supply would shift to the right. Okay, our next little picture here. The computer and the bolt. What about the computer? Alrighty, so with the computer, we have a change in what? Technology. This is the T in E cost. If we have an improvement in technology, that would cause a shift to the right in the supply curve. If we have an improvement in technology, we could produce it, either more of it, more efficiently, or at a lower cost. Profit either way goes up. Our supply would shift to the right. The bolt. What if the cost for that bolt, it was 25 cents, now it went to 27 cents. Alrighty, change in production costs. This is the C in E cost. If the price of any input goes up and we're going to make less money, then what happens? Well, when we make less money, our supply line would shift to the left. Okay, the last one we have here. This is the O in E cost. You ready? Acme sells a lot of different products. Okay, so the other goods we sell. What if the price or demand for other goods we sell, let's say that goes down. So the selling price of other goods or the demand for other goods that we sell, let's say that goes down. Then what's going to happen to the supply of this good? Well, then that's going to shift to the right. If we're going to make less money on the other goods and services we sell, then the supply of this good or service that's making more money, that'll cause that supply line to shift to the right. Alrighty guys, so what we have here is simply a review of the written and the E cost. Good job. Let's move on.